I'm going to ask everyone to please stand. It's a blessing to be able to call this regular meeting of the mayor and board of aldermen for the city of Natchez to order. And knowing that this is a week of Thanksgiving, we have so much to be grateful for. Let us right now join together in prayer to be followed by our pledge. Let us pray. Father, we thank you so much for this beautiful day. We thank you, Lord, for this week of Thanksgiving. And Father, truly every day and every week should be a time for Thanksgiving because you have truly blessed us. You have truly blessed Natchez. You have truly blessed all of our endeavors, and we could do nothing without you. We look back to so many years ago when this nation came into being. We look back over times, yes, of challenge, of struggle, knowing that definitely we have had our issues. We, like any city, like any state, country, any people, we're not perfect. But Father, because of you, we can see your steady hand of progress. Lord, continue working in our midst. And also, Lord, a special prayer for those who have lost loved ones, those who have dealt with illness and an accident or injury, those who have dealt with other challenges. This can be a hard time of year, and we ask your extra blessing and comfort over them during this Thanksgiving time. Now be with us as we conduct your business, the business of the people tonight. Let all we do and say be pleasing to you. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Amen. Let us now join together in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We will. Okay, Alderman. Let the record show that Alderman Davis is present. You may be seated. Hello, Alderwoman. Hello, Alderman Frazier. We will now ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall.
Here.
Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderwoman Irving.
Here.
Alderman Davis just stepped out, and Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, all are present and accounted for.
All right. Thank you so much. We will now have approval of minutes, Madam Clerk.
Yes, we have one set of minutes for approval. It's the regular meeting held November 12th, 2024.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item, and this really is in a wrong place, welcome visitors. Actually, this should be under city business because this may take more than 3 minutes. And it's with our architect who is managing very important projects for us. And so at this time, I'm pleased to introduce and recognize Johnny Waycaster.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. I do appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I'll try to be brief. We are now roughly 2 years into a 3-year renovation project of several buildings around town, supported by the bond issue that y'all passed several years ago. And what I'd like to do is give you an update, bring you up to speed with where we are and where we're going from here. Over that first couple of years, we've completed the various degrees of renovation on 6 municipal buildings, the most significant of which is the Civic Center. There are currently 2 projects open and outstanding, and we've made varying degrees of improvements on these 2 projects as well. Those 2 are the 2 larger ones, the Convention Center and the City Auditorium. On your desk, you should have a 2 pages clipped together that will help you understand where we are with those 2 projects. And after the quick summary of where we are today, I'd like to make a request as well. The top sheet is the convention center. That project construction fund was $2,685,000 to start with. We have completed a bid package one, which you see the amount there, just under $700,000, which was the cosmetic renovations to the exhibit hall itself, stripping the paint from the ceiling and the steel trusses all the way down to repainting all of that, getting rid of the concrete block walls, wall covering, painting, carpeting all the way through, and it really looks nice. I hope you've had a chance to see it. The bid package two, which was the larger of the bid packages, is the renovation of the public spaces downstairs, the main corridor, bringing those cosmetic improvements up to speed. That included the addition of 6 additional meeting rooms as well, small meeting rooms, conversation rooms that we reclaimed square footage on the first floor that wasn't being used for anything else. That is currently under contract and well underway under construction. The bid package 3 is under contract as well. That is the addressing the cosmetic appeal of the sound panels in the exhibit hall and reworking, repairing and recovering the large movable partitions in the exhibit hall as well. The bid package 4 is a furniture package. We've completed the first part of that by purchasing 1,200 chairs for the exhibit hall for the convention center. And we're currently working and about to start receiving bids on additional furniture, public seating, seating in the public spaces, seating for those new meeting rooms, chairs, tables, that kind of thing. And then a graphics package that addresses some cosmetic graphic in the main corridor downstairs. The bid package 5 is ready for bid. Y'all given us permission to advertise at your last meeting, which is a significant renovation to the second floor of the convention center, much like the public spaces on the first floor. Painting and carpeting, wall covering, and some work in the restrooms upstairs, and that will advertise next week, I believe, for the first time. There have been several direct purchases by the owner, totaling $109,000. They're listed there on the sheet, and when all of those are taken from the original construction funds, it leaves a balance of $205,000 for the reworking of the lighting control system and some AV audiovisual equipment that we're putting a package together right now. On the second sheet is the city auditorium. Original construction fund was $1,745,000. We started with a bid package 1 to replace some roofing on the back part of the building that had not been replaced when the roof was repaired the previous time. Bid package 2 is under contract, under construction, well underway. It's the largest portion of that scope of work. It adds a lounge area and a green room and large public toilets under the bleachers on the east of the Wall Street side of the building. Well underway with that improvement. It also included a lot of improvements in the main house itself, a lot of acoustic improvements with the ceiling and some wall panels and painting, and we're replacing they're not in yet, but we have repaired the decking at the bottom 3 rows of chairs to to install larger, better quality chairs in the, at the base of the audience of the city auditorium. We have received permission from this board last meeting to advertise, and that'll advertise next week for the replacement of the air conditioning equipment in the facility, leaving, and when those items are completed, it leaves a balance of roughly $250,000 for a final phase, which we're budgeting now for lighting and sound improvements. Before we go back to this page, are there any questions or comments about what we've done to date?
Ms. Mayor,
Yes,
I do.
Alderwoman Irving.
I just wanted to say, this past weekend, I had the opportunity to be in the city auditorium, and it looks great in there. I mean, the
Thank you.
chair, the seating, the painting, and all, it looks really great. And I guess one question that I did have as we were upstairs looking, and my question is the paint, has the painting been completed for the city auditorium?
It has not.
It has not, okay.
There's still some work to be done in there.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question, because I did see where there was an area that had not, but it was upstairs.
Right.
That's
Thank
it, but it looks great.
Thank
It
you.
does, it does. Yes, Alderman Maroney.
Do we have a timeline on the completion of some of these stages, like that seating around in
The,
that lower level seating, and then like the bathrooms and the bar
The,
area, that lounge area?
I forget the exact completion date. There, the seating is the long delivery item. The platforms and all have been repaired and painted and ready for them,
Yeah,
and we're
it
just
looked
waiting for
good.
them
I've
to
seen it.
arrive.
Yeah.
And the last projection was middle of January for the seating to arrive, to be installed. The auditorium is being used now. We just can't use it with, the first 3 rows of seats are missing.
Right.
So you walk past those into the existing seats. The toilets downstairs, they're hard to see now because it's really a construction site, a dangerous construction site to go in. So they lock them up and close them up when there's people going to be in there. But they're projected to be complete. James, do you recall? First quarter of this year for all
Did you say
the work.
April, James? That's a long time.
And it's
It just
some
seems like, I
significant.
mean, from what I was in there maybe a month ago, and then I went in yesterday, but I didn't go in to where the restrooms and stuff. And when I was in there a month ago, it looked like it was a lot further along. Like they ought to be able to get finished with those bathrooms pretty quick.
They're ahead of schedule. That's the contract date, and they'll probably be through in early March, would be my guess, but I can't speak for them.
Because I know that we do have events in that building over the coming months, and
And we've had
those
events in it.
bathrooms, those restrooms are the main thing that would make things usable. If we could at least get them, somebody could poke them in with a pointed stick and
Well,
get them
we
moving on
meet,
those bathrooms.
we meet regularly, and they're actually ahead of their schedule right now. And there have been several events in the building, and we just close that off when that happens. All the toilets, all the existing toilets in the building were on the Canal Street side, so they're not affected. So
The ones in the back on the Wall Street side, are they all down now?
there's 2 in the back on the Wall Street side, 2 small ones that are down. The larger ones on the Canal Street side, none of that's affected by this work.
That's where we were.
Mr. Mayor?
One of the other things. too is-
Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, I want to thank you very much. I think with 3 historic buildings that had not had any restoration done in 25 years or plus, I think you all are doing a tremendous job,
Thank
and I thank you very much.
One of the other.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Yes,
And I know
Alderwoman Irving.
it's not an oversight from you as well, but there was a window out up front. We did notice that while we were there this past week. and I said
Contractor
that-
broke that,
Yes,
and
okay.
they're in the process of replacing that. But the work they're doing in there now, they're likely to break one or two more. So they're just,
Waiting.
we're aware of that. We are
Yeah.
right by
But
the
it's
ramp
great.
where you walk up.
It looks great. The seating were comfortable. I mean, the stage, the painting, it's just unbelievable. It's a beautiful sight in there
You're
right
going to
now.
be impressed with the chairs when they come in. They're actually, we reduced the amount of chairs because we got wider, larger chairs and they swivel so that you can actually face the stage.
That's awesome.
Well, Mr. Waycaster, thank you. Is there any action that you need?
I would like to make a
take?
request.
Yes.
When we started this project a couple of years ago, we made a lot of projections as to what was going to be the scope of work and anticipating more money available at the end of the project for audio, sound, those lighting controls. When we negotiated our contract with you, you might recall we worked in consultants as part of the fee, anticipating the need for some convention center consultant and interior design and that kind of thing. And we've used those and taken advantage of those at both the auditorium and the convention center. But at the convention center, if you go back to that first sheet from the last couple of items are the scope of work has changed as we've developed it. When the direction for originally, for instance, the second floor interior renovation wasn't a part of this, which would have been, well, it's a significant cost item. And the lighting control system that is being handled a different way than we anticipated. With Walter's assistance, we've reached out to the actual company that built this sound control system there, and they're on their way down to review this and recommend how we can save a little bit replacing and repairing and bringing that system up to date. What is happening is that instead of hiring consultants to come in and design new systems, we're able to coordinate that ourselves. So we're requesting that we reassign some of the fees from earmarked for convergence design. There's about $42,000 worth of fees left in the consultants. And we've used the consultants to the extent that we need them. And we're no longer approaching them to design a new system. So we're asking if we can, we're not increasing our contract. We're asking if we can reassign the portions of the fees that were originally 2 years ago set aside for consultants to pay for our services because we're coordinating that work ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay. Alderwoman Hall has made that motion,
Second.
seconded by Alderwoman Irving.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
It's
Alderwoman Hall.
specific to the sound panel, correct, or system?
I'm sorry.
Specific to the sound,
Sound and lighting.
Sound and
Well,
light.
and it's just the convention center.
correct?
What we're after, and this has been through meetings with staff that when we saw what was developing with the cosmetics on the interiors of the convention center, we decided that the upstairs needed it as well. So we diverted some of the money that we can anticipate, some of that last monies to interior design work on the second floor. And the
Mr.
monies that's
Waycaster,
left.
my motion is specific to the sound, so that's why I'm asking you. Is it just specific to the sound and lighting that you're asking us to transfer these funds?
That's right. Well, it's specific to the remaining balance, which is about $42,000 of the consultant's fee that was originally going to be hired. You agreed in our contract for us to hire them to do sound and lighting.
Correct.
And now we're doing interior design work and coordinating the lighting control system repairs ourselves. And that fee would shift from the consultant to Waycaster Dungan as a result. And we would not hire the consultant.
So it should include interior.
So it should include in the interior.
Interior design
Right,
as
that's
well.
why I'm asking,
Okay.
what is it
I'm-
specific for?
Yeah.
Alderman Fraser, you're recognized.
Let me say this. This is for the consultant's fee. It's for you, right? Am I correct? For your company, for y'all doing it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay. Now, also, let me say this too. On the sound system, Mr. Tipton, you're here too. It's my understanding that we supposed to have done this long. We just spent money. It ain't been about a year or two ago on that sound system, upgrading that system. So now we had a consultant come in about 2 years ago and looked at this system and did that system over. We was having trouble with that system. So we're spending money again on the upgrade of this again.
Yes.
I am correct now. I'm sitting and listening
Are you
to
referring to
Can
the
you
convention
address-
center or
spend
the
money
city auditorium?
on this system
We have.
about a year or two ago.
We did.
We upgraded. Now we're talking about upgrading again when consultants fee. I thought this was already taken care of. If it's my understanding that we got somebody out of Hattiesburg to come over here and look at that system, some other gentleman came over here. So I'm just letting the board be aware of what's going on there. Maybe we done forgot, it's been so long ago, but not this Alderman.
Well, I do know that within this scope of work, and it's listed on that front sheet, there was $21,000 plus a few dollars spent on audiovisual equipment to improve, for the purpose of use in the convention center.
But that
This-
is, but like I say, I think that's been, I think it was a little more than, I think it was a little more than 21,000 that we spent to get someone to come in and look at this system. Did we upgrade it or did we do anything on it? That's my concern, because like I say, we're spending money doing the system over, and from my understanding, we had did this once before and we're doing it again. So, whatever the board decides, I'm just letting the board be aware of what's going on in the public, be aware of what's going on.
Mr.
Thank
Mayor,
you. Alderwoman
I
Hall.
don't think we did any major restorative work on that sound system. I think when Dustin was still with us, he did some patchwork over there.
No,
because-
that's not.
That's
I'm
not it.
No, that's
That's
not.
not it.
Dustin, no. Dustin, no.
But I don't
No,
think we did
ma'am.
any major
No, ma'am.
restorative work.
No,
Mr.
ma'am.
Tipton,
Good.
that's really-
Mr. Tipton, can you offer more light on what Alderman Fraser is referring to?
Well, a couple of things. Several years ago, we did have like amplifiers that went out, and we had to go in and replace the main control unit and a few of the amplifiers with the sound system. And I believe that's what Alderman Fraser is referring to. And that was pretty significant. But at that point, you're talking about a system that's 20 years old. And we also, and you have, I think, in what Johnny's referring to, the AV equipment for $21,000 were things that Dustin Hinkle recommended that we needed in order for us to get through the conferences that we had a large book of conferences for this year. All of those were good corrective measures and kept us to this point. But the next stage to get us to an upgrade is things like potentially putting in some bars that we can hang speakers from or light speakers with, those things, and a few more tweaking on the overall sound system. And we've got a consultant coming in that y'all approved that's going to give us feedback on that. So that's sort of where we are. So the original system probably cost $300,000. And we've only, over the last 20 years, spent maybe $40,000 in two different sections that I just explained to keep it going. So that's kind of where we are. We're not saying that that anything is dysfunctional, but we are saying to tweak it to an upgrade to another level, we still may have to spend some money there. The lighting system now is a different story because that system is the original system. And the only major change to that was when the electrical company came in and changed all the lights to LEDs. But when they did that, they did not upgrade the central processing unit, nor did they make all this stuff compatible with the operating and controls. And so what we're doing now is seeing what we can do to improve and ensure that we have a controllable lighting system, because right now, if our CPU goes out, we're using outdated equipment that we can't off the shelf go to the manufacturer and order replacement parts. So that's what we're addressing.
Yes,
Alderman Frazier, back to you.
yes, it hadn't been, it wasn't several years ago. I think it was lit before that. We badly need to, like I said, I understand about the sound system. We need it, like I said, we need all that, but, I'm thinking, like I say, it wasn't Dustin Hinckley that recommended, it was someone else. Like I said, and I'm not finna up in ugly, but it was somebody else that came in and said that we need to do that. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Tip, you was the one brought it and said that we need this company to come in and do this.
You're correct in that.
I know I am.
That's Trooper Hale, the guy that originally put the sound system in.
But I like I say, I just want to let the board be aware of what's going on. And like I say, this what you're requesting now, it's gonna get approved. But I just want to let y'all know that I am aware, and I want the board to be aware that these upgrades that we are doing, we have done them before. And so I just want to let everybody know about it.
I do want to make a statement, Mr. Waycaster. I was not aware that you would be making this request tonight, and the board has made a motion, and it's fine to go through with it, but 42,000 is still a large sum according to my book. It is. I go over every check before I sign it at City Hall, and when I have a question, I ask for the invoice. Did that yesterday. I would really like to see a breakdown of what this 42,000 constitutes, because what we're saying right now is 42,000 for this, but I really do need to see, for my own comfort level, an itemization of what that 42,000. We can't belabor the meeting now. These are things I would really like to have had in advance, because we don't just make these decisions just with emotion without some itemization. I would like for the motion to pass pending our receipt of some itemization on what the 42,000 in expenses
Mr. Mayor, I
will.
think
We can do that, and just so you know, I'll break it down and get it to you, but it's for the amount of work that's shifted back to us, it's the same percentage fee that it's 9% of construction costs is
Okay.
what it is.
Okay,
It's the same percentage fee for, if you did the math on the 205, 200, and the 50 that
Okay.
we're doing, it's that 9%, which just happens to be coincidentally the
All
amount left over from the consultants. We've paid convergence design.
okay, that's
no
fine.
additional anything.
It's just whenever we make these decisions, I like to have that information in advance, because we didn't know until you asked exactly what you would be asking for. At this time, I would like to call for questions.
So,
I'd just
I
like
just
to
want
say
to
that-
include,
Well, one at a time. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Thank you. And so since we are asking, I know we were having a problem with upgrade with our technology. So has all of that been upgraded? Is that a part of that? I guess that's my question. Technology, because has that been upgraded, Mr. Tipton? Whereas our speed of technology, has that been upgraded? So when we're having our conferences, because I know that at one point in time, we did have the conversation that we were going to have to upgrade our technology, because when people are wanting to schedule conferences here, that's one of the things that they look at, how fast we are with our technology.
Yeah, so now what you're addressing there is gonna be internet access.
Yes.
Particularly Wi-Fi.
Yes, sir.
And we still have about an $8,000 issue related to that. It does need to be upgraded. Our Wi-Fi.
Okay.
access.
Mr. Tipton, can you come to the mic, please, so your statements can be recorded?
So I think what Alderman Irving is asking about is internet access, particularly Wi-Fi access.
Yes.
Now, our hard access from the convention center comes through C-Spire, and it's fiber optic, and it is the latest in technology. However, our Wi-Fi access, the access points where you can get on a computer up on the second floor without any kind of hardwire, that does need to be upgraded, because we are at the end of the equipment life of that access points. And we've been reviewing that information, particularly with Alderman Maroney, who is very knowledgeable in that business. And I still feel like we're going to have about an $8,000 expense to upgrade the Wi-Fi access, and we're looking at that.
And Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes,
Make
Alderwoman.
thank you, and thank you, Alderman Maroney, for assisting with that. I do want to say that because where we are now, we are planning for future businesses, conferences that would come here. So we want state-of-the-art technology, so that
That's
we
right.
can be competitive with anyone, with them making their decision to come to Natchez for their conferences. And thank you both.
Alderwoman Hall.
I will make, before I call the question.
Well, we've got another alder person.
We'll let him go ahead, then I will make.
Alderman Maroney.
Just to speak to the IT infrastructure, we do have very good fiber optic internet coming into that building. And just like Walter said, the Wi-Fi infrastructure seriously needs to be upgraded. And Walter's given me a couple of quotes that have been given to him, which I'm not particularly fond of. I'm certainly not going to do the work, but because I can't, I don't think.
No.
But I'm definitely working on that with him and going to make some recommendations that I think will give us far superior technology, future-proofed for a lot less money, I think, than the quotes that he's got.
Thank you.
I'm not real pleased.
Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, back to the original motion that I made. All Mr. Waycaster is asking is that we shift the funds from the consultant service to professional services for you to continue with that 42,000 that was already there for the work to be done. I'll call the question.
The question has now been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Waycaster. Next item, we have Department Director reports. Mr. Johnston, you're recognized.
Evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
I provided an updated report at your respective desks. I have added several items to my original report from this past week. Downtown Natchez Farmers Market, staff is requesting a motion to approve a new one-year contract with Mr. Eddie Burks, Farmers Market Director, with an annual compensation of $18,000.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving and seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Oh,
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnston.
Solid Waste Assistance Grant, Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality. Staff is requesting a motion to accept the above referenced grant totaling $25,000 to continue the city's efforts to clean up illegal dump sites in and around the city. No local match.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
Next items are new and are on my revised report placed at your respective desks earlier. Purchase of furniture for Duncan Park Golf Clubhouse Lounge 2021 Rec GOB and 2022 General GOB. Staff, with the assistance of City Clerk Megan McKenzie, recently solicited and received quote bids for the purchase of furniture for the Duncan Park Golf Clubhouse Lounge. A summary of the furniture selected are summarized below, and you see the vendors, you see the types of equipment, quantity, unit cost, and total cost and grand total. Per Mississippi Code 31713, Purchase Law Summary, not all the furniture being recommended for purchase will be the lowest and best price available. In some instances, the furniture recommended will be in the best interest of the city to purchase commercial grade furniture versus residential grade, or leather versus cloth furniture because of the furniture's expected durability, resistance to stain, wear and tear, and anticipated longevity because of its intended use. A motion is being requested to accept the recommendation of staff, Ms. McKenzie and myself, for the purchase of the furniture for the Duncan Park Golf Clubhouse Lounge listed above, whether the recommended furniture is either based on the lowest and best price, commercial grade versus residential, or leather versus cloth furniture based on the furniture's expected durability and anticipated longevity. Pleasure of the board.
What was the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I hear what you said. I follow along with you in your reading about, spending local. I see we have Weeks Furniture, and Darby's. That is
Yes.
a local. Where is Wayfair? Is that online?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And
because,
we did try a third vendor as well, Ms. Irving, but they declined to bid. I don't want to name them, but we did seek 3 local retailers.
and they declined to bid.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because again,
I understand.
we want to spend
That's
local.
why I did bring that up. We did approach a third one as well in our downtown, and they, appreciated being considered, but they did respectfully decline.
Right. And if I may add,
Yes, Madam Clerk.
the 2 vendors that did provide quotes, there were items that they did not provide quotes for, that they were not interested or could not provide. And those are the items that we are looking online for.
Okay.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Call the question.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. Do you have another item?
I do. I was waiting for you to say next item. Sorry.
Next item.
Natchez City Auditorium, 2023 Convention Center Complex Bond. Staff in concert with Waycaster Dungan is requesting a motion to approve pay estimate number 4 from Smith Painting and Contracting totaling $165,296.20, noting the estimate was lost in the mail.
What was the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion?
Yes,
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
you said it was lost in the mail.
Yes,
So did
ma'am.
they send another copy?
We found out about it today when they were inquiring about payment, and I checked my spreadsheet, and so did our project architect. Estimate number 5 is on the docket. This is number 4.
Mhm.
It just was not received.
Okay, so, but we are going to, because that's a part of our records that we receive it.
We just got it today.
Oh, so you got it today. You received today.
It will ask for a check next week. Well, I'm
Okay.
getting permission from the board today to pay the check, to
Okay.
pay the invoice.
I'm just making sure because that's a part of our record.
Yes,
keeping, and
ma'am.
it's something that we need to have for our auditors.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
All
Oh,
right.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, James.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So
Call the question.
we'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnston.
North Bluff Walls Inspection and Monitoring Report. The City of Natchez commissioned JKS to prepare a report to monitor any future wall movement and to report deficiencies that may cause failures in and along the Natchez Bluff walls. Walls inspected included DA Big Lane to Silver Street Wall, Silver Street Timber Lagging Wall, Silver Street to Roth Hill Road wall, Roth Hill Road timber lagging wall supporting the roadway, Roth Hill Road timber lagging wall supporting uphill slope, Roth Hill Road to Learned's Mill Road wall, Learned's Mill Road timber lagging wall supporting the roadway, Learned's Mill Road timber lagging wall supporting the uphill slope, and Clifton Avenue wall. 2 local contractors were contacted to provide quote bids on a lump sum price for the first 5 walls listed above in yellow and italicized. The 2 quote bids received are summarized below. R. Rayburn Contracting, $28,000. Camo Construction, $51,300. Again, Camo Construction, my bad on that typo. Justin Bowler, Public Works Superintendent, is requesting a motion to accept the low bid of G. Rayburn Contracting to allow for them to perform the specified work as outlined in the report. Pleasure of the board.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
They're gonna remove some of the timbers and stuff from the wall.
I can provide you a copy of the report, Alderman Frazier, but I can't tell you the details right there. I mean, everything is outlined in a very lengthy report with photographs and everything else, but I cannot specify the exact scopes of work based on the sections approved tonight. But I can provide it to you.
Okay.
Worst half.
But I will say, I'm really surprised that we didn't have more to do. This project was done so well, so many years ago, the Bluff Stabilization Project, that we really can applaud those engineers and contractors who did that work. The fact that after a monitoring report and all that, this is what we have. I'm very grateful, very encouraged, and thank you. It was an exhaustive report, and it is available. For
It is.
anyone
Again,
to
I
read
would
and
prefer to
go
send it
over.
digitally if I could.
But obviously, I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer those
That's why it's so
questions
important to have
either.
engineers on hand,
It
on our
is.
staff.
It is. And this will give us a peace of mind going forward that we're taking care of that important project. Do we have any other discussion?
Let me just say.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
Certain, I think that wall, built almost about 50 years now. Certain section of that wall did have trees growing out of it, and it was cracking, especially on the, where the bandstand is, the gazebo. A lot of people don't really, if you don't walk down the trail down there,
Which I do, yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
gonna see it. So it's badly needed on both ends.
Yes. Yes, I agree. We'll call for the question.
Called.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
New Beginnings Missionary Baptist Church utility relocation, NRCS EWP project 006. Staff, Mr. Dollar and myself, is requesting a motion to approve change order number 1 for the removal of obstructions at the project site that were not addressed in the scope of work. The cost of change order number 1 totals $13,225. The contractor is Hope Enterprises LLC, and this additional work will increase the original contract from $393,311.75 to $406,536.75. No local funds are required.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Alderman Frazier, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Last item, Mr. Johnson.
Milling and overlay of Canal and Homachita Streets. Staff, Mr. Dollar and myself, is requesting that the inspection services contract with JKS Engineers be amended and increased from $6,500 to a not to exceed $16,000 to allow for the continued inspection of this capital improvement project. The rate of these services is $60 per hour as stated in the original approved contract.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Alderwoman Hall.
What is the purpose of increasing this?
Because Canal Street took a much longer than anticipated and more hours were expended than we had planned. The original contract was for $6,500, and that contract amount has been met. And so for the service to be continued, we need to amend the contract. Otherwise, it will not be inspected.
We definitely need an inspection, if I may say. Mr.
They've done a
Mayor.
good
Yes,
job.
Alderwoman
Mr.
Irving.
Brumfield's done a good job.
Alderwoman Irving.
I think so, and after speaking with Mr. Dollar last week, that there was possibly a sinkhole down on Canal Street in that area there. It definitely, we need the inspection.
Yes.
We definitely need the inspection
It
because
has
there
to
are
be
low
done.
parts on Palmetto as well, so we definitely need that.
All right. We'll call for the
We're
question.
putting the street down and have to go back and cut it up,
We'll
so.
proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Our next report, Mr. Ryan Porter, Parks and Recreation. Mr. Porter, you're recognized.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
We have recently received our final award letter from the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks for federal funding through the Recreational Trails Program. Total project cost $120,000. This is an 80-20 match. That means we're receiving $96,000 in federal funds, and $24,000 of that 120 will come from private funding or local funding rather. 13.6 thousand has already been verbally committed. We were waiting until this final award letter to start asking for that money to put in the bank. So I stand before you to ask permission to formally accept the grant money from the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Maroney. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Frazier. Discussion? I'm excited. Call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion
All
carries.
right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Ms. Carla Monroe, you are recognized. Our director at the Natchez Senior Center.
Good afternoon, Mayor
Good afternoon.
Gibson,
Or
and
good evening.
good evening. Good afternoon to the Board of Aldermen and all of women. I want to first start by thanking you all for this opportunity to promote me as the director for the Natchez Senior Center. So thank you all. I have worked in the capacity of supervisor for over 17 years. And it's a privilege for me to serve our senior community and our disabled individuals in this capacity. My vision for the Natchez Senior Center is to continue strengthening our program services as a focal point for our senior citizens and disabled community, providing some of their interests in their daily activities. The center promotes respect and dignity at all times for our participants. So all the activities, anything that we do for them, we try to provide things that they enjoy doing on a day-to-day basis. And our staff is there to support our participants as needed for, those who are wheelchair, maybe in the wheelchair or having some type of concerns that requires us to assist them along the way. The center is normally open from around 5, I think it's 5 or 5:30 in the morning until some days to 7 p.m. So we have a lot of different services going on in that facility at all time. Some of the services that we provide on a daily basis is adult daycare services, provide some monitoring to our participants, those who have those needs that our staff can help with their activity of daily life, living. We provide transportation trips to and from the center, but also local rides in our community is offered to them as well as out-of-town trips for doctor's appointments. Now, as a group, we may do a trip somewhere to go eat or something, or go to the state fair on senior day, or things like that with the seniors and our other participants. We provide home delivery meals to our participants that are homebound, those who are not able to cook for themselves or just having challenges with cooking. So those services are available to them on a weekly basis that they are delivered. Senior activities, participants can participate in exercise program, socialization. Many of them don't get to see, they live in a single family household, a lot of them. Yes, some of them do live with caregivers, but we provide socialization for them to just interact with one another on a daily basis. Ceramics, computer class, bingo, table games, and we recognize our holidays and also monthly awareness events. Bingo is, we offer prizes to them. These prizes are sponsored through Southwest for them. And most of the prizes that we offer to them are things that they can utilize in their home on a daily basis, like tissue, paper towels, dishwashing liquid, things that they don't have to provide for themselves. So it helps them with their finances as well. Participants also have health and social evaluations done at the center by our registered nurse and our social worker. They monitor them and they do their blood pressure checks. They talk to them about their medication if there are things going on with them. They'll let us know, and then we'll notify the next of kin or whoever they have as a contact person for them. So we will do that. And sometimes we even have to call the ambulance, and we'll go there with them, and we'll sit until a caregiver is there. Like I said, the center stays open till 7 o'clock at night. Normally during this time, we do preventive services that we allow the center, we partner with our NAs and our AAs that come to the center, and they utilize our building during those times throughout the week. Increase senior participation. Well, hold on, excuse me. My goals for the center are goals that we have met or we hope to meet for the center are in the process of hopefully filling 3 positions. I've been kind of waiting on that, trying to make sure I find the right people. So that I'm hoping to fill by the beginning of this upcoming year. We finally finalized our contract for senior services and transportation. So we're glad we've received those funds and everything is going well with that. Increase in senior participation by designating senior exercise room. We're in the process of completing that. I'm waiting for them to put the murals up, installing the televisions in that room, and we're gonna get some benches in there for weightlifting. So hopefully we can just, try to utilize each room and make it a specific designation for the seniors so that we can kind of like give people what they want. So that is part of our goal. Our senior center has a book club that we started this year where the seniors meet every Tuesday to read and discuss the chapter for the week. The benefits, the senior book club is cognitive stimulation, group socialization, gaining new perspective, anticipation about the story, lifelong learning, a break from everyday life, just being able to kind of like think about other things other than what they're going through at that moment, and reducing stress. Also, one of the things that we do to try to like make them recognize this is good for them. We try to cook once a month for them for the book club. So we'll do something small for them just to get their, encourage their interest. Future goals are updating the game room. So like I said, we want to make that game room an actual game room. We do have the tables. You have to reupholster those tables and add some games. So we hoping to add the ski ball and Pac-Man, maybe a pinball machine or some other kind of games that the seniors want to do. So we want to make it we want to make this a game room. So if you walk up in there, it's something that you can do. It'll keep you moving, keep you going, keep your bones and everything relaxed and not, so stiff and sitting all day. So I want to rethink how we do the Natchez Senior Center for the seniors because it's not a nursing home. So I don't want to be kind of like featured as that. I want it to be something completely different. Hopefully in this upcoming year we'll start it and then we'll just continue to add until we get it like we want. And I'll be coming back for some things that we want to do. But I want it to be where you want to come to the senior center because we recognize that is a hub for our senior community. And, that's what I want for all of our senior community. So we are starting a choir. And they do anticipate, we did discuss maybe going to the nursing home, singing to the participants, doing some of that this, upcoming year. So I'm hoping that we can get that up and running really soon. The Natchez Senior Center staff assist some of the participants who live in a single family dwelling by scheduling their doctor's appointments. We have paid their bills before for them or taken them to pay their bills and scheduling monthly shopping trips where the seniors go on. Normally it's after the first of the month. We'll take them on a specific date and we'll just let them go get what they need for their household so that they won't have to have that urgency. Oh, I got to go to the store. I got to go to the store. So anything to kind of like help them along the way. That's what we try to do for them at the Natchez Senior Center. As of July the 20th, 24, I am sad to announce that the loss of 5 of our members, 3 of the 5, they were very actively coming up until they got sick. And our staff supported the family by reading resolutions and sending sympathy cards to the family. And also we visit as well. The senior center continues to grow. We're expecting 4 new participants in December to begin services. Anyone wanting to receive services can call the Natchez Senior Center. And our number is 601-442-5082. Our staff will assist anyone that wants to come that's 60 years of age and older, or if you're on Medicaid, the requirement is 21 years and older. We look forward to continue serving our senior and disabled population. And that's my report.
Ms. Monroe, that's a great report.
Thank you.
We'll open up for any questions.
I want to thank you for accepting this position.
Thank
And
you.
geriatrics is a special call, and it's obvious that you do have that calling. So I
Thank
want
you.
to thank you for that. And
I
thank you for
appreciate
adding new programs for them.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderwoman Irving.
I too, I want to say thank you for answering the call, as she just said, because it has to be a special person to work with them to enhance their quality of life. And that all that does that, it enhances their quality of life. And my second thing I want to ask, will there be a Christmas program this year for them?
Yes, we
Do you have
are.
a date?
It's December the 20th, and it's going to be from 1 to 4 at the Civic Center. Your invitations will be out soon, and I will be getting them to you all.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
thank you all.
And happy Thanksgiving to everyone at the Civic Center.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
sorry, at the Senior Center.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's
And
about
happy Thanksgiving to you all as
Thank
well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Monroe. Next, we have city official reports. Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I would like to place upon the minutes the fact that during the public hearing on November 7th for our Mississippi Home Grant Program, the rehabilitation program for citizens within the city limits, the Fair Housing Act information was provided and was handed out, and they did receive brochures relative to the Fair Housing Act during that public hearing. And to those who also who wanted to receive applications. There are, I think, 40 people who have applied for that grant. Yesterday was the deadline to submit an application, and those will be turned in by Ms. Smith to the Mississippi Home Corporation. I also like to make a motion that January 7th, 2025 will take place for our second meeting in December and our first January meeting. Because December 24th would have been the date for our second meeting in December. And the Board of Aldermen will be at our midwinter conference for the second Tuesday in January,
So when is the date again?
January 7th.
Okay.
Second. Motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis for that January meeting to be the January 7th meeting. Discussion?
Will that serve as our second
December
December meeting
24th.
as
And
well
first
as our first
January.
January meeting?
Yes.
All right. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. I also want to say, Alderwoman, since you made that motion, it has been suggested our meeting for December will be December 10th. It's been suggested that that be our December meeting. Is that
Yes.
considered?
Yeah, that's why I make that motion.
No, you made one for January.
For December
This would be
24th, that was the
December.
second meeting, the second meeting of the month.
Oh, so
we're
you
gonna
did
have
do
to
that.
get it first
in my motion.
Okay, I
You have the
didn't
first-
hear that
Yes,
part.
that was in my motion.
I'm getting it. I've got it. Well, thank you, Alderwoman. I'm glad we clarified that. If you'll continue with your report.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Frazier.
Oh, wait, one more thing.
Yes.
Today we did celebrate the 100th anniversary of City Hall. We had two former mayors present, Mayor Tony Byrne and Mayor Jake Middleton. And Larry Brown was there representing his father, Larry Butch Brown.
Yeah.
And Mimi Miller gave an excellent presentation of the history of City Hall and the previous mayors beginning in the 1800s. So I think it was well attended.
And the great-great-granddaughter.
And the great-great-granddaughter of a former mayor.
William Ben Brooks, great-great-granddaughter Lauren
Also
Newcomb.
here. Thank you, Alderman Davis. And Alderman Maroney was there, Alderwoman Sarah Carter Smith, and Alderman Davis were present.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Frazier, your report?
Yes, I just like to say, the Forks of the Road, I had a Zoom, I was online with Zoom conference today, trying to get everything done for the Forks of the Road and what the plans for the future is and how long it's gonna take place. So I did do a Zoom conference today with some of the people involved. And last but not least, I would just like to say, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you.
Good report.
Good report. Alderwoman Smith, do you have a report this evening?
Just happy Thanksgiving to all and safe travels, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a
Thank
better
you. Alderwoman Irving, your report?
Yes, sir. I too want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. You know, Thanksgiving is a time that we reflect on our entire year, our family, how grateful we are just to still be here. And that's just so important. You know, I give thanks every day, but truly Thanksgiving is every day. Thanksgiving is truly every day. But I also want to offer my condolences to the Washington and Scott family. I did not attend the ceremony because I too lost a family member. We were burying him in New Orleans that same day. And so I'm just grateful though. We're still here and taking it one day at a time. I also want to offer my condolences to Mr. Jamie Mitchell's family. His mother was an educator, a teacher of mine, and the Washington family, which is his sister. So offering my condolences to those family members, those members of our community. I also want to address something that I brought up in our last board meeting, Mayor. And it's pertaining to the article that just made the newspaper a few days ago. And it's pertaining to what was given by the school district. And I don't have the whole article, but what really pierced my heart, you all, is when I read that the school district also received the news that there were 41 students enrolled in the 23-24 school year who were identified as homeless. And Mayor, as I read that, I said, not only is there 41 students, but that's 41 families. That is 41 families. And so there are even more. These were just the ones that were identified. I want to go back on the conversation that I asked, and I also want to make a motion that we had the $872,000 that we had from our opera funds. And I know that we had allocated that funding for fire and police, but just recently, we were just called upon a few days ago to ask for funding for our Project Safe Network. And so I'm asking this board today to consider for the vote that we allocate funding for the homeless. I also read the article in the paper that we're going to be having the open house for the Joe Frazier Enrichment Center, that we allocate those fundings to them as well. They were asking for donations. And so I want to make a motion. And the motion is, I want to make a motion that we allocate funding for the 41 families. And I want to give a little more detailed information because when we think of homelessness, we're talking about people living in vehicles and cars, don't have a home, they're living at a hotel. And I know this being an educator, I see these things as well. But I also want to say that it goes a little bit further. We have to do things different for our students for attendance. We have to make sure that they have access to clean clothes. We have to consider having washers and dryers now. Schooling is totally different 20 years ago than it is now. And, you know, I just want to point those things out. These are issues that do plague our community. Homelessness, mental health, addictions, whether it's alcohol, drug addiction, and we need to be able to fund these agencies so that we can begin rehabbing the people in our community. Because and again, you've heard me say this before, when we look at workforce development, these are the people that are in our community. These are the people that's going to be, you know, that we're hoping to rehab and place back into society where they can become gainful employees again, working with any corporation. So I want to make a motion tonight that we allocate funding for those homeless families.
Second.
And for the Joe Frazier Enrichment Program and NAMI, the acronym NAMI, that now I know we're going to have to come to a decision as to the dollar amount. I'm not asking that now, but I am asking this board, let's do what's morally right. Let's live from the bottom to the top, okay? And we do that so that we can provide some services.
Mr.
I
Mayor.
second that
Okay, a
motion.
Thank
motion
you.
has been made by Alderwoman Irving and
And that
seconded
ends
by
my
Alderman
report.
Frazier.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you. Alderwoman Hall?
first of all, we have received the opinion from the Attorney General's office regarding allocations. We have been following those since our first administration.
Yeah.
We will not deviate from following the law regarding our appropriations. And we need to find out what is the legality of donating public funds to a private organization and to the homeless. And homelessness also depicts if a child or family are living with a relative. That's also under the headline of homelessness. So it doesn't mean you're living in the car. You mean.
I gave that as an example.
I'm sorry,
But-
Alderwoman Hall has the
but,
floor.
Before we allocate any more funding, we had allocated the ARPA funds to our police and fire employees, to their salaries already. That's done. And before we move forward with any other allocations, we follow what has already been given us in our first administration. Every alderman here present, except for Alderman Maroney, was here at that time.
Thank you. Alderman Frazier, you have your hand up.
And Alderman Frazier does not need to be here. His daughter is what has been made a motion on his daughter's business.
That's not her business. She's a part of that. That's,
I'm sorry, Alderman Frazier is recognized.
Let me just simply say this, Mr. Mayor. Homelessness do not discriminate. It don't discriminate. Yesterday, I was in Baton Rouge at a dealership, and it was a discussion that we was having. And like I say, it didn't discriminate. It wasn't a group of people. And in Baton Rouge, the lady asked me, she said, do y'all, she said, I have property in Baton Rouge. I got homeless people staying behind my house. It's a creek that separates my house, and homeless people staying over there. It's an old abandoned store over there. And I really looked at it. I said, ma'am, I said, let me say this to you. I said, regardless, Baton Rouge is way bigger than Natchez. I said, but we have the same problem as everyone else said. But like I stated earlier, homelessness it don't discriminate. But as a city, we're gonna have to start addressing this somewhere down the line. It might not be the day, but that is a big issue that is happening in Natchez and everywhere else. So we're gonna have to address that, Mr. Mayor, sooner or later. That's all I.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Thank you. Alderman Davis.
First, I think we need to have, you need to sit down with the school board and see, instead of just, don't have to do it, you sit down with school board, the school, and see what we can do as far as what ways we can do to help out or something, instead of, because we don't know no numbers and nothing. That will first need to happen first. You need to just sit down with them, see what the deal is, and see, find a way that we can help them out some type of way. That's what I think.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Maroney.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it's certainly a grand gesture to want to help the homeless. I mean, we all do. But in order for us to do that, there's got to be some sort of a plan.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of plan, some sort of numbers, some way of implementing it. Again, it's a great gesture. It's a great thought. I understand it. I agree. But we can't just say, oh yeah, we're going to help the homeless and here's a bunch of money. It doesn't work that way. And I mean, I'm fairly new to this board, but I know enough to know that we can't do that. We've got to have some sort of plan. Somebody's got to put something together. We've got to know where the money's coming from, where it's going to, who's implementing it, who is overseeing it to make sure the money's not being wasted. And then we also have to ask, is that what we're supposed to do as a city, as a board of aldermen? Just because it's the right thing to do and it's a godly thing and a moral thing to do, doesn't necessarily mean that that's something that we're supposed to do. Are we charged to do that as a city, as a board of aldermen? I mean, we got streets to worry about. We got fire protection to worry about. We got water systems to worry about. We got police to pay. We've got security. We've got infrastructure. Those are the things that a city is supposed to do. We as human beings you know, as individuals and with our churches and our other groups, you know, those are places where we do that, where we do things such as support homeless people. But I don't know if that's necessarily what we need to do as a board right now, just start giving away money to the homeless.
Yeah.
There's got to be more to it.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Irving?
Okay, so I want to go back and just say this. This is before you even got on, Alderman Roney. There was an executive session, and I do understand. Let me just address one issue at a time. So there was an executive order that was handed down. I think it was 1385, 1395, one of the two executive. I can't remember the number right now. But that order was to serve underserved communities. Okay? That's what that was done. And that is a part of it. There have been so many loopholes. And anybody knows anything about federal dollars, you got to keep every documentation as to how it's being spent, when it's being spent. You got to have documentation. I also said, you know, it pierced my heart to read that article. And I also reached out to the superintendent. And I did have a conversation with her. And so we didn't discuss dollar amount. She just said resources are needed. Resources are needed. So I have addressed that issue. But I want to say there were other municipalities that have done so many different things because there were other availabilities of the money that could be done. There were police departments built. There were a number of things that municipalities could do. Even when Mr. Harper, from the very first time that the money was allocated, because I know I got a balance of 116,000, but there was a second round of money that came about. And I guess that's how we end up with the 875,000 left in the second round of monies. And so there were so many different things that you could do. There had been added ways that you could spend the money. Okay. And I can't think of the correct terminology now, but there is other ways that we could spend the money. And the attorneys should be able to tell us that because there were so many different things that you could do. We find loopholes that we could go around to spend the money. But again, when you go back and you look at the executive order, it sums it up, what the money was designed for. We have not done anything community-wise with any of the opera funds, and that was what it was actually designed for or created for. This is the first time and possibly will be the only time that those fundings would be dispersed. That was $8.3 trillion over the United States that this money was designed for. And so, Mayor, I hope, and I really hope that we could come back at a small meeting because the conversation needs to be had. Nonprofits were able to write proposals so that they could get funding. Churches could have done it. I mean, a number of resources. We even had NAACP come and ask for $50,000. And so we said we would take it under advisement. We never came back with a meeting. I mean, we didn't do any of the things that were presented to us, and they had a proposal. Okay, we didn't do any of those things. We never had a conversation. It just disappeared. It went away. But tonight we are faced with a reality. And that reality is in Natchez, Adams County, we have 41 families that have been identified by the State Department of Education here in Adams County. And if we have those resources that are available, I'm asking this board, I've made the motion. And there are other loopholes. We find them for everything else. Let's find one for this one. Okay? Let's find one for this
Call the
one.
question.
Alderman Davis.
That money was made a motion to go for Morgantown Road.
Yeah.
That where they gone?
Yeah.
Not the 873,000.
Oh, yes, it was.
If I could,
It
if I
said, no,
could,
no, we just
I'm
said it was
sorry.
for police and
This is
fire.
becoming argumentative. This was not on our
Well, it shouldn't
agenda.
have. when
Also,
it was
I have to
designated
take,
for police and
I have to
fire.
state, if I could,
apologize,
because
Mayor.
we are here at 7:20. We have other business we need to discuss. I want to say this is very important. However, anyone watching, I want them to understand we are not insensitive to these problems. In fact, my Bible verse just this morning was about showing compassion for those in need. I want to right now call out Dr. Carolyn Myers, who does so much to help and is working now to get support to put a roof on a building where she can help those with mental illness who are now facing homelessness because of their mental illness. I was so grateful to stand with her at an event on the Bluff just in October, helping raise money for her, Seeds of Change Foundation. There are so many things that go on in our community. We're very generous, but at the same time, we have to follow the law when it comes to our budgeting. We have already approved a budget for this fiscal year. Every dollar amount that the city is expecting to collect has already been assigned to from everything from police to our parks, to our buildings, to our fire, to our streets. It goes on and on. And we cannot vote on a motion that has no dollar amount, that has not determined if we're going to put money here, then where the money will come from, because we would have to cut other parts of our budget in order to move money around. Also, we would have to amend the budget, and there's a process for that. It would involve a public process, more meetings. So with that said, Alderwoman, I already sense that your motion is going to fail, not for lack of concern, but for the fact that there is no dollar amount, no plan for how the budget would be amended, what departments would be cut to make this happen.
Mr.
Now, we
Mayor,
can call the question and your motion will be voted down, or
I'd
you
rather see
could
it voted down
withdraw
because
it
then I've
and
done my
have more
job.
detail.
I've done my job.
Well, then I'll call
Because
for the question.
I've done my
We're
job.
calling for the question.
Mr. as-
The question's been called. We are not here to argue. We
No, we're not
all
arguing.
care. But we do have a process we legally have to follow. We are dealing with taxpayer funds and public funds, and we have to follow a budgeting
There are
procedures.
other ways to
And we can't
assist
break the law.
rather than monetary.
Alderwoman, at this time, we have had
No,
enough
I just want
discussion.
to say this, Ms.
Alderwoman
Mayor.
Irving,
Mr.
yes.
Mayor, I'm gonna
We
call a
just
recess.
had- no, let me
until we get
finish.
order.
I
will
just
call
want to
a
say
recess.
this. We just
We have
passed the
important
minutes, and the
business to do.
minutes said that the $872,245,000.
You have to honor a motion for recess.
It said the
Alderwoman
motion
Irving.
is obligated to the
Alderwoman
balance
Irving.
of the Natchez Police
I
Department.
am
fire
so
department.
sorry. That would have to be reversed. At this time, I respectfully ask you to withdraw your motion because there is no legal means for this board to take action. We would be in violation of state law and budgeting standards to pass a motion that doesn't even assign a dollar amount, how that would be
But
monitored.
Mr. Mayor, my dollar amount,
I will now call for the question because this is argumentative.
it's not.
We are following the law, and I'm not going to have anyone, rightful motives maybe, bully us into breaking the law. At this
Bullying.
time, I will call for the question. We will
Oh my
proceed to a
God.
vote.
Alderwoman Smith
Uh,
called the question.
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Yeah, the nays have it, motion fails. Thank you so much. We will now move on to Alderman Davis for your report.
Before we,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
let's stay on point. Is she through?
She already said
Okay.
that that concluded her report when
Okay,
she made
that's
the
all I need to
motion.
know. Okay.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Alderman Davis, your report.
Okay, Colleen, we had a 12% increase in enrollment, for the fall section. And it reflects, increase across the board on both career tech and, the CTE and academic. And pre-registration is now open for the spring semester for 2025. Also, I had a new business open up yesterday in my ward. They called NTZ Wing Shop. Opened up by Elvis Prater. He opened up tomorrow. He said he's gonna schedule a ribbon cutting when he get everything situated up in there.
Where is it?
It's 61 North, right behind Pizza Hut. And I went up there.
Gas station.
Yeah, right beside where Buckles used to be at. Also, the coding academy is still accepting people for their classes, and it's supposed to start, I think, January the 6th. They still need people. They want people to apply for the coding academy. It's free. And one more thing, I think the city should get a float. We should get a float in the Christmas parade, Mardi Gras parade. We got trailers, we have them there. So city employees can ride in the parade on floats. That's the end of my report.
Thank you so much, Alderman Davis. Thank you. Alderman Maroney, your report.
I can help Alderman Davis line up that float if he wants. I know something about the parade. And I'll get to that in a minute. Homochitto Street is about to get resurfaced. I think Canal Street's about done. I know I saw the milling machine moved over to Homochitto Street earlier today. So for those folks that are watching or listening, be prepared. Homochitto Street's going to be underway. Try and find another way to get to and from downtown if you can. If you don't want to get stuck behind some construction traffic, but that's a wonderful thing to see that street getting done. I know a lot of people have complained about that for a long time. So get ready. It won't take them but a few weeks to get it done. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. This Saturday, on to fun stuff. This Saturday, the Christmas tree lighting will be downtown. I think there's going to be a kids carnival and all kinds of hoopla going on downtown around Main and Commerce, around the old B&K building. Everybody knows where the Christmas tree is. That's this Saturday, November 30th. I think things get started around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The lighting itself will probably be around 6 o'clock when it gets dark, something like that. So I don't have the exact schedule in front of me, but that information is easy to find. So come on out to the Christmas tree lighting this Saturday. Then next Friday, December 6th, there's going to be a neighborhood watch. Y'all know I'm always involved with the neighborhood watch. That big neighborhood watch group that meets at Parkway Baptist Church, they're going to have a Christmas party Friday, December 6th at 6 p.m. And then the next day is the downtown Christmas parade on Saturday, December 7th. And that parade will start at 6 o'clock. Downtown, the normal parade route. And sounds like Ben's going to get a float together for city employees. We'll see what he comes up with. But anyway, I did get an interesting call from somebody today that wants to put a pretty cool entry in that float. I'm not going to reveal what that is. You're going to have to come out to the parade on December 7th and see it. It's a group from out of town.
What they want to do?
Big group from out of town. I can't tell you. It's a secret.
Oh,
It's going to be a surprise. But it's going to be pretty cool. Something we've never seen anything quite like this. It's going to be new for our Christmas parade. So I'm waiting to hear, but I think they're coming from well south of here. Could be real interesting. So again, Christmas parade, December 7th, 6 o'clock. That is my report.
Thank you, Alderman Maroney. Thank you, Alderman Davis.
I'm going to recuse myself for the city clerk.
Okay, all right.
I
Let
went
the
over
record
everything we
show
already-
that Alderman Davis has recused himself for this portion of the city clerk's report. Madam Clerk, you are now recognized.
Okay, just have a couple of items this evening. First item is a request for approval of the 2nd November 2024 claims docket.
so moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion?
Call the question.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Okay, next item is request for approval of the 2nd November 2024 mini claims docket.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion, seconded by Alderman Maroney. Any discussion? We'll proceed to a
Call the
vote.
question.
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Okay, and I actually have one other item that's
Yes,
not on the
Madam
agenda. It's request for approval to travel to Jackson on December 19th.
Before we take that up, if we could, Mr. Davis, Mr. Gibson, please let Alderman Davis know he can return.
So a request for approval to travel to Jackson on December 19th to attend the PERS annual valuation report.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second?
The motion has been made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? And let the minutes show that Alderman Davis did return to the meeting. We'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
We will now,
I was gonna say, I've got a bit of exciting news, not a request for a motion.
yeah,
But 2 of the 4 new vehicles, the 2 Frontiers, are gonna be delivered Thursday of next week.
well, wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. We now will have the city attorney's report. There's only one item on the city attorney's report this evening.
Mr. Mayor, we're asking the board for approval of a contract for professional services between the city and Southwest Mississippi Planning and Development District for administration of the Mississippi Home Corporation grants that have been approved. And we ask the board's pleasure as to that
Second.
contract.
Motion is made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. We'll have discussion. Yes,
So
Alderwoman Irving.
I was just gonna ask, we would get updates. They said there were 40 applications that had been accepted. So we would get
We do
updates
not,
after.
we are not, making those determinations as who receives
That's not
approval.
what I'm asking.
I'm trying to answer your question.
Alderwoman Hall.
Mississippi Home Corporation is in charge of this. All the applications have been turned in to Southwest Mississippi Planning, Mrs. Smith, who is the administrator of the grant.
And so what I'm
We are the
asking,
grantee, we received the funds.
and so what I'm asking. is
If I
we
could,
get
one at a
updates.
time.
There will be updates according to Mississippi Home Corporation and HUD's guidelines, not our guidelines.
Thank you. Alderwoman Irving.
That was what I was asking. We
I
would
want to say
receive
for the
updates.
record, this is a historic grant for the city of Natchez. We are so grateful we received it. But I want to, for the record, and I want this to go into the minutes, I am very grateful to Alderwoman Valencia Hall, who has tackled a very difficult task. A lot of people wanting, their part of this money. And she has held firm, and I stand with her. I have been called. I've been called by people very close to me, but I've let them know that the procedures of this grant do not allow any politician to be involved in the decision-making process. If this became a political grant, the grant would be endangered and the whole program for the state of Mississippi would very likely have to end. It is so important that we follow a non-political process, and all of the decisions will be made not by the city of Natchez, but by the Mississippi Home Corporation. And I'm very grateful to Ms. Lynette Smith because it has not been an easy job. She has dealt with so many phone calls and personal visits and appeals. And Alderwoman Hall, I just thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And I greatly respect you and the professionalism and the honesty and the strength that you have shown.
Thank you.
But also your compassion, because this truly will help people in need in our community.
Thank
We now will call for the question.
Call.
We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
That concludes
Thank
my
you.
report. Yes, sir.
I have only one item on my report. Well, I do need to do this. I know, Alderman Frazier, that's crazy, isn't it?
Why?
I know, me too. But I do need to do this.
Oh, geez.
Alderwoman Hall has already spoken of the program, and we are so grateful. 100 years ago, November 1924, the historic City Hall was first dedicated. It was rededicated today, and I would like for the documents that were presented today, the program, reproduction of the souvenir document from 100 years ago, and history on the building provided by Mimi Miller, who did such a great job. I would like, Madam Clerk, for these to be inserted into the minutes so that they become a part of the ongoing official record and history for the city of Natchez. Also, the clerk is already working toward having a new bronze plaque created that will be installed in the front lobby that will signify the importance of a rededication and the fact that it was also under this board that we were able to renovate the building. And that plaque will hopefully be seen soon there in the front lobby with all of the names of the current officials on that plaque. So that's a great thing. And thank you, Madam Clerk, for putting that into the minutes. So now, Alderman Frazier, this is my one thing, and I'm actually going to read it because it's pretty succinct what we are doing. Over the last several years, the city of Natchez, in partnership with the Adams County Board of Supervisors and the Airport Commission, has worked diligently to bring commercial air service to our airport. After landing a much coveted small community air service grant and several improvements being made to our airport's infrastructure, we are now in an incredible position to make all of this hard work come to fruition. Now, as we enter into a time of increased interest and negotiation, it is important that we have the expertise needed to achieve our goals. So on behalf of our local partners, I am requesting a motion to reserve $33,000 of the $200,000 that we have already budgeted for Natchez Adams County Airport improvements for professional services payable to the Airport Commission on a monthly basis for the coming year, pending acceptance by the Adams County Board of Supervisors.
So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderman Davis. We will now have discussion.
Repeat the motion, please.
Yes, the motion is that we reserve $33,000 of the $200,000 that we have already budgeted for Natchez Adams County Airport improvements for professional services payable to the Airport Commission on a monthly basis for the coming year, pending acceptance by the Adams County Board of Supervisors. And it is our understanding that the Adams County Board of Supervisors will likely accept this in their meeting next week. They will have their meeting on Monday, December 2nd, at which time then these professional services may immediately begin that are needed for furthering our work toward reestablishing commercial air service for Natchez Adams County. All right. Yes, Alderwoman.
I was just gonna ask, will there be, discussion from the public? Any discussion from the public, about the airlines? I'm just asking. Any input from the public?
Well, actually, it's interesting you say that. We are sending questionnaires to industries in our area and major businesses and educational institutions next week to establish their desire for commercial air service. And we are open to the input from anyone in the public that would like to offer, their input. Obviously, the cruise lines are very interested because they still want to establish Natchez, the Miss Lou, as a home port for two of their boats. And obviously, the movie industry is very interested because a lot of interest is building in their new studio here on Liberty Road. So with all of that said, these are very good times for Natchez. I'd like to call for the question.
Called.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. At this time, we do need to have an executive session on a personnel matter. It should not take long, but it has been requested by the police chief to discuss a personnel matter. We will have our closed determination here in the open, but we do now need to entertain a motion to go into executive session. Actually, to have a closed determination to go into executive session for the purposes of personnel matter discussion.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. We will have that closed determination here in the open right now. This pertains to a personnel matter involving an employee in the police department. Various confidential items may be discussed. Mr. Attorney, it's my understanding that this matter meets the definition provided in statute for having an executive session. Is that true?
That's correct. The personnel matter, especially involving personnel of the police department, falls within one of the exceptions to the Open Meeting Act, and it is appropriate for executive session.
Thank you. Then I will now call for a motion to adjourn the closed determination.
So move.
The motion has been passed. Made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman. It was seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion, we'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. We'll now entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purposes already described.
Second.
Motion has been made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion, we'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. At this time, recording of our session will end. We will come back with a report, though, after the executive session. We want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and we do remember those in need during this time of year. Thank you. God bless you. We'll be back in a few minutes, but this will end our recorded session.